I'm back at the cemetery that I was at roughly 2 months ago. This is known as the Meeting House. It's just outside Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Joining me in a little bit here is going to be Nancy and Richard Tritt. Richard wrote a book on the Meeting House. He does a lot of work for the local historical society. And Nancy, I believe, is president of the group that oversees the maintenance and care of the cemetery. So it's not like I'm just here randomly. Last time when I was here, I believe I walked around and showed some of the grave markers here, some very early settlers here, people that were born in the 1600s. So the tombstones, some of them are quite old. Here's the spot of interest that I'm going to be looking at today. It's this spot right behind me here. You can see that there's no grave markers right in that area. There are some out over here. This site right here is believed to be where there was a log structure or wooden structured church from the 1730s. And that's what we're going to try to do, is try to find some artifacts. Last time I was here, I quickly detected over this area. I didn't dig a single hole because I was here by myself. And I heard a lot of iron signals in there. So that very well could be the place for the church. Now, they've done archaeology work here previously. From what I understand as well, they've also done some ground penetrating radar when they were cleaning up this cemetery roughly 15 years ago. They wanted to make sure that they had all of the graves properly marked and identified in here. So they painstakingly went through and made sure that all of the grave markers were up to date. They've repaired some of them, and they're all documented in the book. So we're very confident if we were to dig over here, which I'll be doing some digging, no more than a couple inches, but we're fairly confident that there's no actual burials in this area. So super excited to see what we can find, and hopefully we can help them understand more of the history of this incredible place. Yeah, so we're here looking through this site, again, this depression area, and we found a couple nails so far, and I started to try to detect larger signals, and this one came up. I have it resting on my shovel there. You can see very common to find shotgun shells when we're out metal detecting. I find that very interesting that we're, here in essentially a cemetery, and there's a shotgun shell sitting there. Now we're right by a farm, so it kind of makes sense that a farmer would be here, but it kind of tells me somebody was firing a shotgun from essentially a cemetery. Let me jump to the finds. We found several nails and some other iron, some shotgun shells, and a few rifle casings. Possibly some of these were from a 21-gun salute, although it does appear that hunting or target practice took place right around the grave markers. I got one hit that upon digging turned out to be a piece of chicken wire fence, several feet long based on the repeating signals I was hearing. I can hardly say we provided any evidence of a wooden structure being on that location, and so the story I was hoping to put together didn't end the way I wanted. But with stories, that often is the case. The more amazing story came right from the cemetery and those buried, and spending time with Richard and Nancy that afternoon and learning from his book. Yeah, so here's this is not only the oldest tombstone here in this cemetery, but I'm being told it's also the oldest in the county. And this was the wife of the pastor that led the church. A beautiful coat of arms up there. Let me see as we go in. This marker is inscribed with "Here lies the body of John and Alexander McKeon." This headstone is unique for two reasons. One, this is an ancestor of Nancy, who I was working with that day. She pointed out Alexander is 5 generations from her. Also of note, it is not clear who the John was. Alexander had both a father and brother with the name John. It also is possible it was a child who passed away young. So I haven't noticed this the last time I was here, but there's this wonderful marker here of all the people that are buried here that fought in the Revolutionary War. Incredible history that's just in this one small place.
The original marker was provided by the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, in the 1930s. At the time, it only referenced 7 soldiers, but was later updated to what we see now, reflecting all the soldiers buried here. One thing I'm fascinated by in the book is how educated guesses are taken at figuring out who some of these soldiers were, especially if they were common names. So while we know these men fought, in some cases it isn't clear what battalion they fought in, and thus little may be known about their time during the war. While the background is not so clear for some of the Revolutionary War veterans, the book gives great detail about Alexander Parker, who served from 1776 to 1783. In that time, he fought in Lake Champlain, Brandywine, Germantown, and Valley Forge, which is just a fraction. Alexander's grave is within the Parker-Henderson plot, which includes the graves of 23 people, some of which fought in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, and the Civil War.
So a couple things of interest here that are pointed out to me. Number one, on the bottom of this, we can see J.W. Kelly of Carlisle, PA. Interestingly enough, that is the maker of the actual headstone here. And as I pan out, you can see the scroll work in some of his lettering there. And it's really interesting, the attention to detail he put in his own name there, the K there, how ornate that is. And something I never knew before, learn something new every day, is as we back off from the headstone here, there's actually a footstone. And if we go look around from the reverse side, you'll see in it the initials here, the DD, matching the Daniel Denny up here. So these are actually footstones, and I believe this is a family here. So we can see the 3 footstones in line with the 3 headstones. Yes, I'd shown this tombstone, this grave marker in the last video. It certainly catches your eye when you look at it, just how beautiful it is. And I've been told here that this was made in Adams County, which is, what, like 30 miles away, maybe 20 some miles away. And the reason they know that is number one, the stone, the type of slate that was used for that. There's no other grave markers in here that match this material. And again, what's so striking about this is the artwork. As I zoom in on some of the foliage up here, and again, that's how they're able to attribute it to an artist or a tombstone maker down in Adams County from here.
It's a little humbling to be granted access to such rich history. When I detect and I find artifacts and coins from the 17 and 1800s, these were the people who lost these items. These were the people using Spanish silver coins, plowing fields with livestock, losing horse tack and buckles. These were the people fighting on wars on U.S. soil and abroad. These were the people that built the foundation to the community I live in today.